Hey everybody, it's your boy Darth Revan, and in this video, I am going to compare two of my Nerf blasters. I plan to make a series of this type of video, comparing two different Nerf blasters and comparing my Nerf blasters, but first I will be comparing my Prometheus to my Rhino fire. I know this is like comparing the Mona Lisa to a stick figure, the Prometheus being the Mona Lisa and the Rhino fire being a stick figure, but I figured it would be a fun little video to make and a fun little comparison, despite the fact that these two have nothing alike, and especially in terms of practicality. The one thing they do have in common is that they're full auto, flywheel powered, as well as they're both in the heavy gunner class. But that's about it. That's all they have in common. But other than that, I'm going to go over the pros and cons, the practicality, the size, and how easy it is to carry around, because the Nerf Rhino fire has a tripod and the Prometheus doesn't. But yeah, I'll be going a number of different factors of the two blasters. But yeah, there you go. But other than that, let's get to it. So what I'm going to go over first, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the Prometheus. So the pros, I'm going to start out with the pros and then go to the cons. The pros of this blaster, it's got a great rate of fire. Shoots 480 rounds per minute. It holds 200 rounds in the hopper. And of course, if you get the 700 round hopper, 1200 round hopper off Etsy, it's going to be a lot more. But it's got a safety into that. You rev up the flywheel and pull the trigger. And what's nice is that you don't have to take out the hopper if you don't want. It's another pro. You can reload the hopper just by opening a door. There's a hopper door there's a door on top of the hopper if you want to reload it, and when you do need to reload. But another pro, it comes with a sling. And it comes with a bunch of different things. It's a rechargeable battery. Therefore, it's really lightweight and quite powerful. And the weight for this thing is actually quite reasonable, despite being a heavy blaster, like the heavy gunner type blaster. But the ergonomics are a bit unusual, which is a con. That could be a pro or con, depending on whether or not you like firing blasters from the hip. But now onto the cons. This blaster is very expensive to buy and expensive to have ammo for, especially if you have a 700 round to 1200 round hopper off Etsy. And yes, that does exist. But other than that, it's not a cheap blaster. It's not cheap. Not to buy and not to run, not to have ammo for. And not only that, but the battery takes about 2.5 hours to charge. So when you run out of battery, it takes a while to charge it back. But the pro is an indicator light to let you know what's going on and if everything's running fine. But yeah, it also comes with these snowshoes, or quote unquote snowshoes. If you want to set it down, it's not going to wobble around or anything. And that's the pros and cons that I've figured out. Onto the Rhino fire. And onto the Rhino fire. I'm going to go over the pros and cons with this one. There are a lot more pros than there are a lot more cons than there are pros with the Rhino fire, but so I'm going to go over them. If you take out one magazine, it's not going to work. You need two magazines to load it, or to run it and have it function. The handle, the grip up here is not particularly comfortable. Just like the Prometheus, the ergonomics are very unusual. It's really heavy. It runs on 6 D-cell batteries that under this little orange thing under here, but it's cumbersome. It's a 3.5 kilogram piece of plastic. That's 6 pounds. That's 6 United States pounds. That's a heavy piece of plastic. Not only that, but if you're running around with it, you can't, can't really go through corners that well. Matter of fact, it's really, you know, just cumbersome all around. And it's a lot more practical to have on a tripod than it is to actually run around with it. But the thing is, I mean, there's an access door. It's not a pro, but especially if you have drum mags on this thing, you can have a lot of ammo for it. But other than that, this is not a practical blaster to use, especially if you were to carry it around. That would really suck. But yeah. However, another pro is it comes with a tripod. I mean, I bought mine separately, but whatever. Never originally owned a Rhino fire, but it is what it is. And I'm going to go on to the rate of fire and firing demo. For the Rhino fire, I'm going to just sit down and use the tripod, because the rate of fire doesn't change whether you fire from the hip or have it on its tripod, so who cares? Let's get firing. I'm gonna burst fire it. I'm not trying to waste too much ammo right now. As you can see, for a support gunner, that's not a good rate of fire. I mean, it's acceptable, it's mediocre, but it's nothing better than that. Anyway, I'm gonna get to firing the Prometheus now. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing I did it with the Rhino fire. I'm just gonna burst fire it. But yeah, I have the blue rival flag on it, which is pretty cool. All right. Did that just come out of the barrel? Okay. All right, other than that, I'm going to go on to the practicality of each blaster, and I'm just going to discuss all that and discuss perhaps other factors that go into which is the best of these two Nerf blasters. I mean, it's obvious, it should be obvious at this point, but then again, I still thought it would be a fun video to make. And now I'm going to go over the practicality of each blaster. So the Prometheus is very practical for a support gunner, or for the heavy gunner, or whatever you want to call it. But the Rhino fire is more practical for defending a base or something like that, rather than carrying it around with you. So very impractical to carry with you, but it's very practical just sit in one spot and just fire away. But other than that, the Rhino fire is not practical at all. So the next factor is going to be maneuverability and weight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around corners and see how fast I can do so while carrying the Prometheus. I'm going to start out with the Prometheus, and I will then do the exact same thing with the Rhino fire and just see how it goes. See how fast I can move around these corners. I mean, you're not really going to do this. You're not, realistically, I don't know if you'd be doing this as a heavy gunner, but it's something I figured I'd try and see how it goes. But yeah, let's get to it. And that was a 10 out of 10. Very maneuverable. Very easy to just turn around corners really quickly and just take out targets. But yeah, let's try doing that with the Rhino fire. See how that goes. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run around corners with the Rhino fire. Let's see how it goes. All right. I didn't fire it that time, but it would be very hard if you don't pre-rev. So, and I had to, turn it around this way just to maneuver around the corner. And it's just really tricky to do that because this magazine just whack into a wall or something. So, the Rhino fire loses once again. in terms of weight and maneuverability. This thing's powered by 6 D-cell batteries. What do you expect? But other than that, I'm going to go into crowd control, or control over multiple targets. So in this test involves how well each blaster can control a group of targets or a group of zombies or something like that. I'm not really sure if you're surrounded by an enemy, but yeah. I'm gonna go over here and fire and see what happens and how well the blaster fires, I guess. I don't know. Just like the last test with the firing demo, I'm not going to shoot it too long because I'm not trying to lose any ammo or anything like that. So yeah, there you go. And on to the Rhino fire. And now crowd control time with the Rhino fire. Just like last time, I'm not going to shoot too much ammo off because I don't want to lose that much ammo. And especially with the Rhino fire, given it only works with on-brand Nerf darts, it's going to be a really big pain just losing darts. So let's get to it. All right. And for that score, the Rhino fire gets mediocre, 3 out of 5 stars, but not as good as the Prometheus, once again. Now I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each loading mechanism, or the methods of, feeding the projectiles into the blaster. The Rhino fire is magazine fed. The pros of that is quick reload times. You just pop out the empty magazine and put in a freshly loaded one. But with this particular blaster, it's just not practical to do that. Not only do you need to buy extra magazines, but you need a pair of those magazines for this particular blaster. But other than that, that's a lot more impractical and a lot more a little bit more costly because you need to buy extra magazines and extra ammo for those magazines. And it also only works with off-brand Nerf or on-brand Nerf darts. If you use the fake Nerf darts or whatever, it has a really skinny tip, any skinnier than the actual Nerf dart tip, it's just not going to come out of the barrel. I tried that. That's what happened to me first time I got the Rhino fire. But with the hopper system, you can just throw in fresh rounds. Just throw in the rounds through the access door here, and you can go get to pew-pewing again. And the advantages of that is you don't have to carry extra magazines. You don't have to carry extra ammo in magazines, further adding the weight, because ounces equal pounds and pounds equal pain, according to any United States infantryman. That's as any U.S. infantryman will tell you. Ounces equals pounds and pounds equals pain. So yeah, there you go. So this is lighter, a little bit less costly. You don't have to buy extra magazines or anything like that. You just need extra ammo. But other than that, if it's not obvious by now, we shall go on to the winner of this competition. Now, the big winner of this competition is Duel. Numero uno, the winner. The Nerf Prometheus, obviously, is more practical to carry around. It's hopper fed. You don't need to buy extra magazines. It's got a great rate of fire. It's got a rechargeable battery at the back. So you don't have to carry around extra D-cell batteries or whatever. But, and it's really lightweight despite being a heavy gunner type weapon. But yeah. That concludes this very long video. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Reverend Skywalker, and that was the Nerf Prometheus versus the Rhino fire. I will see you next time, and bye. In my next video, I might compare my off-brand Strife to my Demolisher or something like that. But I'm going to figure that out.